Marvin Bagley is an awesome fit on this Timberwolves team. He can put pressure on the rim like you saw here, and he just is a really interesting fit alongside Karl Anthony Towns. I think that we've all kind of had debates over whether the Wolves need to find an Aaron Gordon style power forward who can guard multiple positions and hit shots, or if they need more of a John Collins style power forward center who can put pressure on the rim out of the pick and roll and be a complement to D'Angelo Russell, be a complement to Anthony Edwards, and play alongside Karl Anthony Towns. And I think Marvin Bagley fits along that line of thinking perfectly. He's a really good roll man. He's got great hands. He's got a giant frame. He's got incredible athleticism. I mean, he's an incredible athlete. He's fast. He could be more aggressive in terms of how he sets screens and how he rolls to the rim, but he's just got this kind of floating quickness that's really, really, really tantalizing and exciting. And I think that there's more upside there. He spent his NBA career coached by some pretty poor coaches, and you think of Coach Finch as the kind of guy who could really optimize Marvin Bagley. There's clearly a ceiling here that hasn't been tapped into. Now, part of that could be attitude issues or issues with committing to that role, but a willingness to, if he's willing to screen and roll to the rim, I think that D'Angelo Russell could make him a 20-point per game scorer just on his own, because he's such a dynamic threat when he's rolling to the basket, not just as an alley-oop threat, but also in terms of finishing, and he can put the ball on the deck. He's got a lot of different skills that are exciting and that have me intrigued about his fit with D'Angelo Russell especially, and then also with Karl Anthony Towns. I think that a guy like this would take some of that screen setting responsibility off of Cat. I think there's ways you could get Cat involved in the action with Marvin Bagley, and you can imagine those guys kind of playing well off of each other. I think that's a fit that I like a lot. Bagley is really he's got a better handle than pretty much any big. I mean, there's very few bigs who can handle the ball like this. He could be used in these situations more. When he's attacking the rim like this and he's aggressive, he's really, really good. He's shooting 68% at the rim this year. And he shows these flashes where you really are excited about maybe something more coming out of his skill development. I think that he's got kind of a grace to him, and you can just see that you could see why he was the second pick, really. And so even with the issues that he's had in Sacramento, the lack of progression over his first 3 years, I think that these tools as a self-creator are still there. There's still flashes of them, and with the right coach in the right system with a lot more spacing, I think you might see, something like this kind of blow up a little bit, and to see him kind of like we've seen with Malik Beasley, where his evaluation looks different down the line than it does right now because of how those skills fit in a different system with a different coach. And so I'm excited about his ability to finish in the pick and roll and to score and create for himself. I think that kind of combination reminds me a lot of John Collins, and it is a combination that would fit well on this Timberwolves team. You can imagine a player like this playing alongside Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, Jalen Noel. There's just a lot of players on the Wolves roster who would benefit from a guy who can put the ball on the deck like this and drive to the basket, score at the rim with efficiency. And another thing that I was excited by is the jumper. He's shown improvement as a shooter. He's I wouldn't call him a knockdown guy, but he's definitely not a guy you can leave open. And that's another thing that we've seen Gerson Rosas look for in his partner with Karl Anthony Towns, is a guy who can make spot-up jump shots, and Marvin Bagley is a guy who can make spot-up jump shots. So he might, teams will leave him open, and he's not going to be a guy that teams are really scared of, at least at this point. But he still he's a capable shooter. He's shooting 37% from threes, 42% on corner threes, like this one here, and so you can imagine him, fitting in well into this Timberwolves system that does prioritize both getting to the rim and those efficient 3-point shots. I really, really like his fit in terms of spacing the floor. I think that when you have a limited creator like D'Angelo Russell, who's not able to really blow by people, Marvin Bagley's kind of ability to space the floor offensively, while not at an elite level, is still good enough to be able to make that fit with D'Angelo Russell tenable. And so, when you look at all these things combined together, the shot making, the rim running, and the self-creation, it does seem like there's a guy who fits really well in Minnesota and who has got some more upside, room to grow if he's really committed to that, and if he's able to kind of figure that out. I was also intrigued by his ability to play off the ball in the dunker spot and as a cutter. He's a threat to shoot jump shots, but he's also a threat to get to the rim off the ball. And the Wolves, you can imagine with Karl-Anthony Towns spacing the floor, with Malik Beasley spacing the floor, with D'Angelo Russell spacing the floor, you can imagine Marvin Bagley kind of working his way around in that mid-range area and creating open looks for himself, and also pulling defenders towards him and opening up 3-point opportunities for his teammates, because he's got he's a high IQ player in that respect, in terms of his off-ball awareness, in terms of his ability to impact games off the ball. You can imagine a guy who, if he's willing to kind of buy into this role, he could really, really thrive with this Timberwolves team. And then in transition too, he's a really dynamic transition player, and we've seen the Wolves target guys who can play in transition. The Wolves are interested in playing faster. They're interested in scoring points at the rim efficiently, and that the best way to do that is in transition. And you can imagine Marvin Bagley kind of thriving in that kind of system. He was really good in Sacramento when they played at a crazy pace, and he's really good when he's playing with crazy pace alongside Fox. And so you can imagine that kind of partnership going well with D'Angelo Russell too, because D'Angelo Russell, while not a super fast guard like De'Aaron Fox, is a guard who can create easy looks for his teammates. So there's definitely reasons to be excited about the fit between those two players. And given the investment that Gerson Rosas has made in D'Angelo Russell, you can definitely see why he might, target a player who could optimize him, who could really play to D'Angelo's strengths. And Marvin Bagley, the bought-in version of Marvin Bagley, is that kind of player, the kind of player who would really fit well with D'Angelo Russell. And on the defensive end, I think it's been a mixed bag. There's lots of upside. You see him guard guys like Giannis, Julius Randle here, and even bigger guys like Sabonis. I mean, there's just he's got good defensive tools. He's got good feet. He's fast as hell. And so you can imagine him fitting alongside really well with Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, the flashes are enticing. There is a lot of inconsistency. And so as a help defender, he makes plays like this where it's just, oh my gosh, wow. Or in the pick and roll play like this, it's just really, really good defense. But at the same time, there are mistake plays. And so he has the flashes that you're seeing here that are exciting and that have me, really optimistic about his fit in Minnesota. And so I think that if you're Gerson Rosas and you're looking to make a bet based on all the information that we have, and that's full, obviously not all the information, but the information that we have, I think that Marvin Bagley is the bet to make. I think that I see more untapped upside in Marvin Bagley than I do in any of the other rumored Timberwolves targets. And that's really what the Wolves need to be going for right now in terms of trade value, is guys who can outplay their value right now. And so when you think about him compared to John Collins, Marvin Bagley gives you an extra year on his rookie contract. You don't have to pay him until the summer after this summer. So there's another year to evaluate. And just from an upside standpoint, I think he's faster. I think he's got a better handle. I think he's not quite the shooter, but there is room for development. And so if you see Marvin Bagley kind of mirroring John Collins' output in the next couple years, I would not be surprised. And I would love to see that happen in Minnesota, because I think he's a great fit.